What do you think are the current challenges that the Chinese economy is facing, and what is your outlook for the economic growth in 2024?
Well, China is facing a combination of debt, demographic, and deflation pressure. To address these issues, Beijing has stepped up its support to the Chinese economy since August, led by the fiscal budget expansion by RMB 1 trillion, and also the launch of home easing measures, plus some central local government debt swap program. So looking into 2024, we think underlying nominal GDP growth could improve slightly to 4.7% from a 4.2% sluggish nominal GDP growth this year. That's because we think inflation indicators, CPI, PPI, will likely improve with the policy support and the resilient consumption. So that's the keyword for 2024, a modest recovery in nominal GDP growth.
So latest figures show that in the first 3 quarters of 2023, final consumption expenditure accounted for more than 83% of economic growth. What does that tell us?
I think it shows consumption is still the most important driver of the Chinese economy. So that also means rebalancing the economy towards consumption will still be the key step for China to grow sustainably in the next few years. So in the Central Economic Work Conference, I'm glad that the government mentioned the consumption stimulus programs, including a trade-in program for some smart and green product, this type of consumption goods. We think policymakers can also increase their social welfare spending because Chinese households still have one of the highest saving rate among major economies. So if we can reduce the precautionary saving among households with better and more coverage of social welfare, for example, for migrant workers, that could reduce the precautionary saving and unleash some consumption potential. So that's also the part we are focusing on for next year.
What are the measures and strategies that we can adopt to actually unleash that, greater potential in consumption and what you're talking about spending in social welfare?
Well, I think to be more specific, there are 220 million migrant workers. You can call them the new urban residents, but they don't have enough access to public school, healthcare, and pension accounts. So if we increase the social welfare spending on these new urban residents, that could greatly help them to reduce their precautionary saving demand. And people can spend more because they do have the pension and the healthcare coverage. But of course, this means the central government need to leverage up by injecting money to the social pension system. But I think that's also in line with not just the near-term cyclical stimulus for the economy, but also in line with China's long-term common prosperity reform agenda. That's why I think that's the key policy measure.